Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our Plant of the Week podcast, brought to you by Bonide Products, family made in America. Visit Bonide.com to find a retailer near you. Each week, Plant Talk Radio's Fred Hauer focuses on a plant that would be a great addition to your landscape. Now for this week's Bonide Products Plant of the Week. Fred, your Plant of the Week.
The Plant of the Week is Forsythia. And now, it is the group called Forsythia. And one of the things that you might be amused with is a lot of people don't understand plants, common names, and scientific names, most especially the scientific. Well, anybody that can pronounce Forsythia is indeed using the scientific name. We'll start there. Now, there are many. There are, at least in the book that I referred to, 28 cultivars or different connections genetically and so on. They run from the big old intermediate types that hit 8 and 10 feet high, 12 or more feet wide, just what I call a plain Forsythia. Then they get into the crossing of them. They take the pollen from one to take to the next and so on, and they get from what is called Forsythia suspensa, a plant that is of real interest to me. Now, my memory is starting to fade. However, I was in southeastern Ohio long about this time of year, came down a hill around a turn, and there had been a considerable dig into the side of the road for parking. There was a wall that probably stood 30 feet high, and above the top of that wall were Forsythia suspensa that had grown out and hung down probably 15 or 20 feet. It was just like a yellow cascading waterfall.
Wow.
It was really quite remarkable. And when I pulled over, slowed down and pulled over a little bit, the trucker behind me wasn't the least bit happy. I think he was worried about his brakes, and the air horn warned me that he was not pleased with what I had done.
Yes.
Yeah. But anyhow, Forsythia is a mega type plant. There are types that are quite common. Of the 28, a couple that I would like to mention. One is if you have a hillside or you would like one to come off the back property line and flow out across the ground, the one called Arnold Dwarf will do it. The suspensa type will do it in a much taller plant. And then there are other, let's just say, good varieties. And when you're looking at the tags, if you see the name Beatrice Ferrand or Evergold or Linwood Gold, those are plants that you can count on. Then we go to Northern Gold and Northern Sun that will handle freezing to minus 30, and the flowers are not killed, so that you get the good bloom. Now, every once in a while, in our more or less common Forsythia, you get a winter that will kill off the flower buds, and it's usually the late winter when things are starting to be active in the plant. But you can almost tell where the snow line was in many cases, where the after the snow has melted, the Forsythia will bloom at given heights above the ground. You can tell how tall or how deep the snow was along those areas. So it's a magnificent start to spring. I've mentioned the Cornelian cherry dogwood blooming for the last 2 weeks and more would now be overpowered color-wise by the Forsythia. But in the meantime, we've had things in flower now for 3 weeks and more. Well, as a matter of fact, clear into the first part of the year, if I remember right, when the first of the Lenten roses came on. So anyhow, we're having good color. I actually have a list of 26 things that are in bloom. Many of them down around ankle height, some knee height in terms of the big daffodils, and then a few things up in the air. So enjoy, because, again, these things only last maybe 10 to 14, 21 days. Take pictures if you wish, or at least a mental picture, so that when the heat of the summer comes on, you can think, yes, the first days of spring. I remember those.
Now, I have two Forsythia that I planted last spring after the blooming time.
Yep.
So mine, I don't even see too many buds on it yet. Do some bloom a little later than others?
Yes. I would say probably if you literally looked at the history that's been recorded on it, I'll bet there's a month spread from the first Forsythia coming into bloom to the last types. Certainly a 2-week pattern from starting, because different plants, different growth habits, different flowering times, intensity of color and so on. Yeah, I would say that yours probably will still pop out right now my best guess is given 3 or 4 nice warmish days, 45 and above, maybe up to 65, look out. They should be coming on. Now, with your brand new plants, they may have grown so fast last summer that they didn't slow down to set flower buds. So you'll have to wait and see on that. But Forsythia will bloom. If it doesn't do it the first year, it will the second. If not, by the 25th birthday, it will have done a really good job.
Well, I'm pretty patient, so, we'll
Very good.
Have to wait and see how those do. But, I've been waiting all spring for that yellow because I just love it. My wife's like, she's not a yellow person. She doesn't like yellow flowers. She doesn't want me to plant anything yellow. Everything she wants has to be purple.
So that flat of yellow pansies that I just got would not please her.
It would not. She won't let me put in marigolds either, which I love. But, this year. Hey, if I'm doing it, I get to pick.
That's a good point.
That's the way I look at it.
That's a good point.
Thanks again for listening to our podcast, brought to you by Bonide Products at Bonide.com. Plant Talk Radio offers other podcasts as well, including our daily Your Gardening Question podcast and our weekly Plant Talk Radio, all available on iTunes or your preferred podcast player. If you have a plant suggestion for Fred, send him an email, fred@planttalkradio.com.